Welcome back, Officer Republic. Your course on Honorable Police Chief APGAINS. Obviously, we're getting two Cal Kestises, and we had both the original Cal Kestis and Sarah kit drop yesterday while I was busy. But obviously, Cal Kestis looks good. Big stat pushes. Sarah looks like she's going to hit like a truck, and I imagine kind of fill out that unaligned force user team. But let's talk about the other requirements and why specifically I believe that kind of like Mando, Cal Kestis is in a very similar boat of great marketing characters. And these characters, I don't want you to get confused. You know, Mando, when he came into the game, the reason they redid the Mando event recently, the reason Cal Kestis is in the game, these are hot button, high notoriety, big ticket mover characters in Star Wars. And that's how CG's planning on getting new players into the game for the first time, showing off some ads. We saw some ads recently. You know, hey, look, you can play with your favorite Star Wars characters. They're hot. The Mando TV show probably is out at the moment of me recording. Yes, it's a little after midnight, so there's probably some Mando going on, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Survivor's coming out. So big characters coming to the game, hopefully lots of new players coming to the game. But this is how the requirements, even though I don't really like the event because it's going to be one of those 6-month events where you're not going to be able to get it the first time free to play, and you have to wait another 6 months. It's going to be kind of annoying. But obviously these are just an example of some unaligned force users. I would imagine there'll be like Cal Kestis Survivor with Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum plus the other Cal Kestis plus Sarah plus whatever. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to create some sort of hodgepodge mismatch of unaligned force user characters, and I think that's going to be pretty important because I think it's going to offer you a new... It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we know the kit wants you to be super slow, so normally you want fast characters, but there's unique mechanics, there's unique speed requirements. Obviously, you don't want to be fast, you want to be slow. It's just going to be an interesting team, and I think it's going to be able to hit pretty hard. Will it have counters? Obviously. Will it be the most unbeatable team in the entire world? Obviously not. Will it get Datacron and be really good early for the people who spend money to get the character early? Of course. But I think some sort of unaligned force user hodgepodge is probably going to be pretty exciting. And I would imagine that since a lot of the stuff in the kits is simply just part of the kits and maybe not necessarily based on, having high relics, I would imagine that kind of like Mara Jade for Starkiller, I think Sarah and the original Starkiller, Sarah and the original Cal Kestis are going to be pretty good, low star, maybe Gear 9, Gear 10, Gear 11, maybe a couple of Zetas here and there, characters for those early game, mid-game free-to-play accounts. Definitely characters that I'm going to consider looking into and testing at 3 stars to see if there's some viability there. Obviously, we have, let me check because I completely forgot the name of it, Tarful. So we're going to get kind of a Wookiee faction going on. There's been some speculation that maybe he's going to be a Rebel fighter, but we'll talk about, obviously, Saw Gerrera with Rebel fighters in just a second. But I would imagine that, Chewbacca and 3PO are here. I would imagine maybe you slot in... Like, just imagine Chewbacca is Tarful, and maybe you slot in, like, Zalbar or something like that. And you kind of have, like, a leftover Wookiees that don't get a ton of love. Obviously, Vandor has kind of a smuggler kind of thing going on here, but I would imagine there'd be some sort of Wookiee faction, I think, finally coming to the game. And I'm excited. I think that would be pretty awesome. Maybe they keep Vandor on his team, and they bring in, what's his name? Help me out in the comment section. What's the little Wookiee Jedi name? I think since he, spoilers for Bad Batch, I guess. I think since he popped up in Bad Batch and he's been around a couple of times, maybe he's in a different show, or maybe he has some sort of role to play in some other Star Wars game or media coming into the future. So hopefully that's on the docket. I would love a Jedi and Wookiee. I'd love a Wookiee faction. I'd love a Wookiee tag. I'd love some synergies. I'd love a Datacron even for Wookiees. I am a big Wookiee guy, and I might even invest in some Wookiees if we get some sort of dedicated Wookiee tag and Wookiee leadership. Obviously, Marin, we've had a couple of Marin leaks recently. Looks allegedly busted. I would imagine Night Sisters jump up in viability. I would imagine that all of these teams kind of get Datacrons to associate with the Cal Kestis drop as well, just to kind of put people in that correct direction. Where you have like Tusken Datacrons, I would imagine the next one probably has like unaligned force user, Night Sister, and Wookiees or something like that, maybe. Who knows? But Night Sisters have kind of been one of those off-meta teams. SLKR kind of killed the Night Sisters, unfortunately, because you're pulling in Daka Zombie. CG tried to shut that down. There was this huge complaint about how Zombie's kit needs to be changed, which was all a bunch of bullshit. But I think we might see a return, maybe knocking out Spirit for those stuns and that Terminator reduction. Plug in Marin. maybe maybe it gets to the point where you're gonna want to apply that Asajj Omicron because it's gonna go really well with that Marin Omicron. Who freaking knows? And then Mon Mothma's kind of been phased out of GAC viability. She loses to almost everything, and unfortunately, I still see her on defense a lot because people have to have her as far as requirements are concerned. Anyone with JML kind of just throws out some sort of hodgepodge Mon Mothma team, myself included, when I actually place characters on defense. But it's time for Saw Gerrera. It's time for Saw Gerrera to kind of kick Mon Mothma to the curb. She tried her diplomacy and stuff like that, as we talked about in the Andor show. But we need a little bit of Saw Gerrera terrorismo, blowing up civilians and Empire alike. So maybe it's like maybe Saw Gerrera is just BT1, but only the special ability that allows him to blow himself up wherever it is. I don't even know. Yeah, maybe he just has Haywire. There's he has 4 special abilities in a basic, and every single one of them, all 5 abilities, are just blow yourself up and do damage to everyone. Because this man kind of has no regard for LeBron James with no regard for human life. Something like that. I would imagine that probably getting a pretty big Rebel fighter boost here. And then I want them to play into the Mando episode 1 meme where there's like, Cara Dune said something that Disney didn't love. Let's just say, oh, she joined the Special Forces and we're no longer gonna see her. Give her like the Special Forces Cara Dune, like First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot, Unmasked, Reborn, Unleashed. Just put Cara Dune Special Forces, or add a new Cara Dune Special Forces and just give her green eye makeup or face paint. Like she's in the jungles of Endor or something like that. Because then Endor Leia confirmed. New Galactic Legend, Lightside Galactic Legend, APGAINS. Oh my god, so cool. But really quickly to wrap up, I imagine that we're going to have an unaligned Force user team, a slow, hard-hitting, huge stats, kind of annoying, maybe defensive team, a Wookiee faction, which I'm incredibly, incredibly, incredibly hyped for. Marin, of course, is kind of the big ticket that most people are thinking about. And then Saw Gerrera for Rebel Fighters is probably going to be pretty hot. It's exciting. From what I hear, there's lots of interesting stuff coming to the game in the next 6-ish months. Obviously, we talked about the TB. Well, I guess I didn't stream. I thought I streamed. I forgot I was doing some podcasts. That's GAC, not TB. We talked about. Well, I guess I didn't talk about, but I'm going to talk about right now. Finally, adding another node where it's Bracca, I think, maybe. I don't know. One of the missions, maybe it's Bracca, maybe it's Kashyyyk. It's not Kashyyyk. And it's definitely not Lothal. I would imagine it's probably Bracca. I can't remember. I could just check the post right now. It would take literally 0 effort. But you enter here and it's going to open up a bonus node that you can use with Sarah to get, special shards for whatever. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's exciting. So looking forward to the future of it, and I'll see you guys later. Subscribe to the Patreon, link in the description. Help support APGAINS. Get yourself a roster view even when I'm